What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel to another WNBA video. We have a two-game slate to dive into for Saturday, June 21st. So we're going to break down and analyze each of those games. I'm going to talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread. And then when it's all said and done, make sure you check down there into the pinned comment. You'll find a link down there that's going to send you over to the Guy Boston Sports website. It's where all of my final plays for these games are going to live for free. Now, before we dive into these games, let's go ahead and jump back to Thursday. That way we can look at those plays, what we took and how that ended up going down. Now, we started to recap these in Friday's video, but we did have the one play still live, and that does not end up cashing for us. Unfortunately, took the Fever and the Valkyrie total under 163.5, and they do land just up and over that mark. If you caught one of those 167.5s when it came out, you did end up cashing. I unfortunately waited a little bit too long, so we don't cash on that one. I took the Mercury plus 11.5, and we do hit on that one. We also took a Mercury and Liberty first quarter over 41.5. Man, we leaned over for the full game, and we should have just went with the full game because that did cash. This first quarter play does not. They land well underneath of that number. So 1 and 2 on the day. We only lose a quarter unit on the day, so nothing hateful, but we definitely want to get back on the winning track today. Let's go ahead and look into these two games, see where we can find some value, guys, and finish with some green on the board for tonight. If you could smash that like button down there for me and hit subscribe if you have not already, guys, let's go ahead and dive into the first game. 1 p.m. tip-off time, Phoenix Mercury taking on the Chicago Sky. Mercury opened up as 7.5-point favorites. That is now up to 8.5. Total sitting at 158. Now, Sky are home here for the second straight game. They're going to bring a 2-day rest advantage into this one as well, but they've gone just 3 and 8 straight up, 4 and 7 against the spread. Phoenix are going to be on the last game of a 4-game road trip. They're bringing in a 4-game winning streak into this one. They are 3 and 0 so far on this road trip. They're coming in off of a big 8-point win over the defending champion New York Liberty and now sit at 8 and 6 to the number. They are 10 and 4 straight up. That is good for third overall in the W. Now, situationally, this isn't a great spot for the Mercury. They're on the last game of a 4-game road trip. Potential letdown spot after going on this 4-0 run. So that's the return of AT to the lineup. The rest disadvantage as well. But yeah, I can't see a way to Chicago here, despite that. In the last 4 games since AT has returned from injury, the Mercury sit at 4th for offensive rating. They sit at 2nd for defensive rating, and they're 4th for overall net rating. They sit at 4th in the W for rebounds and assists. They're hitting the 5th most threes at the 6th highest shooting percentage. This is a Mercury team to start the season that has thrived defensively enough to cover the holes offensively. But we're starting to see them fill those holes offensively, man. If you've been watching the W long enough, you knew that the trio of AT, Sabali, and Ka was going to be deadly, man. But the lack of depth was concerning coming into the season. But we've seen, 4 first-year players step into contributing roles for Phoenix so far. While Ka has worked her way back from injury, along with injuries to Natasha Mack and AT in the process. Mercury are, they're starting to look pretty healthy. We have Sammy Whitcomb making her return back from injury, but we do see Alexis Held now on the injury list for Phoenix. So not completely, fully 100% healthy, but man, we are almost there, right? And we do got to note that Ka did miss her last game out there against New York. She is listed as a game time decision here. But I think, she sat out more for injury management purposes against New York. So I do think that we see her here in this one. Chicago has no new injuries to report on their side. Look, man, with everyone back in the mix for Phoenix, though, like I said, coming back from injury and really starting to get that full unit out there, this team's starting to look pretty scary, man. I've talked about the Dream being in that tier right below the Liberty and the Lynx, but you can throw the Mercury right in there as well. Phoenix shot at the second highest percentage from inside the restricted area in their last 4. That's the AT effect, man. They're also hitting the most shots from the mid-range at the highest shooting percentage. They are averaging 85 points per game as well in the span. That is good for third in the W. They're sitting at 6 for 3-point shooting percentage. Despite this game situationally favoring Chicago more, that's where the advantages end, in my opinion. This is a Phoenix or nothing play for me, guys. I'm just trying to see if I can get there laying that many points right now with a team that's on their 4th game, the 4th and final game of a road trip, right? We've seen them play down to competition as well, just as recently as the recent win over the Sun. They allowed the backdoor cover in that one. That was a game that they kind of, they were just simply out hustled in big chunks of that game as well. I don't know if it was, it was a look ahead spot. I don't know if they were, anticipating that matchup with the Liberty, and just kind of, doing just what needed to be done to get past the Sun, and kind of keep some in the tank left for New York. That could be a possibility, but End of the day, like I said, I'm leaning Phoenix. We just got to see if I can get there with the points. Looking at the total, these two went way up and over that number in their first meeting, right? They landed at 183 in a game that saw the line close at 159. So smash that over, man. They just killed it. We're right about in the same boat here, with that total sitting at 158. And at first glance, I can see why that number is so low. Chicago has hit under this mark 5 games running now, and the Mercury are hitting under this mark at a 67% rate while playing on the road this year. Phoenix is playing at the fourth fastest pace in their last 3 games, but the Sky do sit at second to last in pace during that time. But even though they are on the road, man, I'd look for the Mercury to control the tempo in this one. And they've looked to get out and score and transition more with AT back in the mix. You look at this Mercury team, and they've hit to the over in 5 of their last 6 games. So I'm going to lean over for this one here. Then next up, going to be looking at the Los Angeles Sparks taking on the Minnesota Lynx. We have an 8 p.m. tip-off time for this one. Lynx opened up as 10.5 point favorites. That line is starting to come down. It's sitting at 9.5 now. Total sitting at 162.5. It'll be the third meeting between these two this season already, with the Lynx winning the first match in LA by 14 and the second by 23 in Minnesota. Minnesota not only won both of those games outright, but they did cover in each as well. Sparks are just 4-9 straight up on the year, 5-8 to the number, and they're going to be on the road here for the first of 3 in a row. And we have Odyssey Sims ruled out for this one for the Sparks. Cam Brink has yet to make her return as well. Ray Burrell is still out with a knee injury she suffered in the opener. And we have Julie Alleman away for EuroLeague play on the Sparks side. For the Lynx, we have Jessica Shepard out also for EuroLeague action. But the big one here is Fee. She left Tuesday's match with the Aces with a back injury. She didn't return, and she's listed as questionable here. So I'm feeling good about her chances of suiting up in this one. It seems to be, more often than not in the W, player leaves for injury in a game and they don't return. Chances are they are not going to suit up in that next game. Like I said, more often than not, that is the case. You look at this situation here for the Lynx sitting at 11-1. Straight up, they're tops in the league. They've gone 6-6 against the spread, but they've covered in 4 of their last 5. Now they're really starting to heat up and really starting to play good basketball. Do they absolutely need Fee out here for this one against the Sparks? I don't necessarily know that that's the case. And even if they were happy, if they happen to drop this game if she doesn't play, it's not going to kill them end of the day in the long run. So I'm not sure that they risk anything here with her. I'm not sure how significant this back injury is either, how major of a factor that it's going to be moving forward. Definitely something to keep an eye on, but like I said, just don't get a good feeling that she's going to be playing in this one. But like, it's just I don't know that it matters, man. This Minnesota team is so good. Like I said, just starting to heat up in all aspects, right? Offensively and defensively. Their last 5 wins have come by an average margin of victory of 17 points. In their last five wins, that's great basketball right there. And their last 5 games, they sit at first for offensive ratings, second defensively, and first overall for net rating. The Lynx are second in the league for both 3-point and overall shooting percentage, while the Sparks are giving up the second most threes per game and at the 6th highest shooting percentage. Minnesota does come in as well at second for shooting percentage from both inside the restricted area and for above the break 3-point field goals. Los Angeles is allowing the third most made field goals from inside the restricted area and at the highest shooting percentage, and they're giving up the most above the break threes across the entire league. We do see LA sit at 5th for second chance points and points scored out of the paint, but the Lynx give up the 5th fewest points from the paint and are holding teams to just 74 points per game overall per contest. That is the fewest in the W. So, like I said, man, even without Fee, I'm not sure that I can get to LA here, right? And I think that if she is ruled out, we see that number come down even more. And in that case, I would be on the Minnesota side here. If I'm gonna play this one, that's the way I'm gonna go. But I'll probably wait it out until I hear something on Fee and just see where this line closes at, right? I think that is the safest move here with this one. As far as the side is concerned, looking at that total, while the Sparks are playing at the third fastest tempo this season, the Lynx are dead last in terms of pace, playing at the slowest pace in the league. Sparks have hit 4 straight overs, but those last 2 have little to do with what they did offensively, you know what I mean? And everything to do with what they didn't do defensively. They put up just 78 and 67 points in their last 2 while giving up 101 and 98. So LA allows the third most points per game at just under 87 points per outing. With where this total is, though, it's very similar to when these two teams met just last Sunday or Saturday, excuse me. I worry about the Sparks not doing enough for us to hit an over. And then I worry about the Lynx, man, just doing too much for us to look at an under. So, maybe this is a situation that we look at it the same exact way that we did last Saturday when these two teams met, where we look at a Sparks alternate team total under and parlay that with a Minnesota alternate team total over. We took that last week. Like I said, last Saturday, we put the Sparks under, I think it was 82.5, and then we put the Lynx over 83.5. Absolutely crushed it. So maybe that's a route that we look at for this one if we're going to play the total in this one. So just make sure you check down there in the pinned comment to see which way we end up playing this game if we do at all. And guys, that is going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the content today. Hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash that like button down below and hit subscribe if you have not already. That's going to do it, guys. I hope you guys all have a great night. Hope you guys all cash out. And I'll see you back for the next one.